Okay. All right. All right. Yo. Yo. Okay. That was funny. Okay. Test one, test two. Mm-hmm. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What is going on? It's a great day in the neighborhood. And today we're going to talk about don't hate the player, don't hate the game, learn the rules so you can win. I've said this for years. And some people still don't understand it. Let me give you an example. I put up a video talking about, white supremacy. Really, to be factual, it was like I say, fuck white supremacy and why you should too. And I had people who were arguing with me about superficial bullshit, about the word racism and personal responsibility. The game is this. Currently, we're in the state where we're having class warfare. Yes, class warfare, but not where people are pulling out their credit cards and duking it out. That's not what's happening. What is happening is new classes are being created and people are fighting a war they can't win because it's really not the war. Let me break that down. Let me really put that together in a something that you can understand. All right, let's go back to the white supremacy thing. Since I have a business and I have this different elevation, this different viewpoint, I know for a fact that there are many white people who are literally catching hell. Catching hell. Totally catching hell. Totally ass out. So then you're just like, well, hey, I'm not talking about those white supremacists. I'm talking about this. No. When you have what I call a myopic view of your life and what you think is happening, you miss the greater picture. I told someone, like, we have this thing going on in our society where men are sick and tired of the things that are happening to men. There are movements that have been formed. There are all types of things that are going on. Because there are some people, like I'll give you an example. I had an issue with child support and I got my stuff dismissed, and people are like, you'll never get dismissed. I put it in my mind. It was a written goal. It was a written goal to get that dismissed. I have another written goal in that arena, and I'm going to win that too. But the point is, many people are operating on a false narrative. They're operating on false rules. They don't even know the rules, have no clue what the rules are. And it is a big problem. And for those of you who want to know what the rules are, you've got 8 more days to get the hustlerskungfu.com special. What you want to do is direct yourself to that black and blue icon and click it, and you can get the deal of a lifetime. Now let's jump back off into it. What we have going on is so crazy, so insane, that it borders on ridiculous. You have people who don't understand that when you operate on a false narrative, when you're out there trying to do certain things, on bad information or false information, it's impossible to win. It's impossible to win. And it's crazy how these things are going on. Because I'll give you an example. And I'm going to talk about myself in terms of my understanding. It was a very, very bad situation. I wanted my situation to change. Now, to change my situation meant that I was going to need to do something differently. I was going to have to develop a different mindset, a different way of dealing with life, everything had to be different. And when I came to the understanding that if I continued to live on those false narratives, things were going to be rough. Going back to the boarding house days, I was in that room. I was broke. My mouth was hurting because I needed to go to the dentist. Was just in a situation where things were very bad. But the last time I got laid off, I did something that I didn't do before. And part of this was from listening to Earl Nightingale Lead the Field, reading the book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I came to a greater understanding that it was the way that I thought that was the reason for my situation. That was the big issue. That was the thing that got me where I was. And I didn't understand that if I changed my mindset, if I changed my mental activities, I would change my life. I didn't understand that at that point, but I started to get there. I started to understand that I couldn't make real no matter what I did, how I did it. It wasn't going to happen. And the reason is really, really simple. Very, very simple. True. I don't care how much work you put into it. I don't care into it. It's not happening. It's just not. You have these amazing abilities as a human being. Really, you do. And what happens is you get this ability to do things, and no one tells you just how powerful you are. No one tells you what you can really do. No one tells you that. And that's what I'm saying. Don't hate the player. Don't hate the game. Learn the rules so you can win. Because what's going on is you will get people that they'll do these things, right? They'll buy into the false narrative. They'll buy into the false narrative and then wonder why things don't work out. It gets to be really, really crazy how this thing works out and creates a problem that could be lifelong affliction. I gotta send this email. Hold on a second. Because I was going to say what I was typing and that was going to sound really, really crazy. And it was going to be looking kind of nuts, right? It's going to be nuts. So hold on a second, because I'm feeling a little bit more confident in this thing because, I've figured out some things. Because I would like to send the emails before I start, but I never know if this method is going to work. I mean, it gets to be a trip. So what we're going to do is put this together. But let's talk about the false narratives. False narratives are really, really crazy because I'll give you an example. Going back to what I was told. Now understand, sometimes true narratives can become false because society changes. But a false narrative never becomes, well, actually that may not be true. But that's a philosophical conversation. But let's say back in the day, working hard, doing what you had to do. These things were easy to be successful. It was easier. Let's say it was easier. It was easier. People have always worked hard. And it switched. But many people continue to believe in the false narrative to their own detriment. So I got laid off, and I changed how I thought that day. Completely different. How can I say it? I experienced a paradigm shift, a big one, a really really big one. It was kind of funny because as I was going along the way and I was thinking, hold on a second. This is one of the things about managing this stuff. And, it's also part of, here we go, when you are out there, let's see, don't live a false narrative. That's the whole thing. Do not live a false narrative. But how do you know what's false or not? That's the kind of the killer right there. That's kind of the issue, a big issue. All right, here we go. I will set this up. Here we go. Boom, that's done. Okay, now here's the deal. As you are confronting how life is, let's talk about success, because I'm all over the place because I was doing like several things, but here it is. To be successful they'll give you the old paradigm. To be successful used to be get out of high school, get your high school diploma, go to college, get a good job, buy a house, get married, have some kids, get your gold watch, retire. That was success for a long, long time. That was success for a long, long time. And it changed. It completely changed. And it changed while many people were trying to use the old way of success. And see, the thing is, where this thing gets a little tricky is you'll see someone who's doing that and they'll be successful. And you're like, well, they graduated high school, went to college, they got a house, and that seems to work. But see, that's why I used to love this guy on the radio by the name of Paul Harvey, who said the rest of the story. Because I worked with this guy, and he talked about hard work. And I knew him for about a year before I really knew his story. He always had money. Then one day in the break room, he's just saying, oh yeah, when grandma died, she left us a house. And I got her car. And, he said some money. And he got real quiet. Really, really quiet. Then, we didn't talk about it anymore. But someone else who knew, he's like, yeah, he inherited $500,000 cash. So here's this guy who's talking about working hard. But if he worked, regardless of the fact if he had worked hard or not, he was still going to have a house, a car, and a bunch of money in the bank. That whole inheritance, and he wasn't blowing the money. He was spending, but he wasn't blowing it. But the fact is, he didn't have any bills. He didn't have that regular stuff that so many people have to deal with. So when you look at that, when you look at the whole thing that's going on with the understanding of false narratives, you can't listen to this person to help tell you how to be successful. You can't do it. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to be in your best interest. It's garbage. It's totally garbage. Because one of the things that I started doing, I stopped looking at Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. I can admire these people. I look at their accomplishments in history, but I don't look to them for business advice. I look to regular people where in regular stations or someone, I look at a person who went from nothing to maybe $1 million in 10 years. I'll look at that person because there's just going to be more actionable content. You can't recreate the computer revolution that benefited Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. You can't recreate that. That's a once in a generational thing to come. It's gone. I think the big thing would be these guys who are doing virtual reality. I think that's going to be huge. But you have to get away from the regular deal. Someone sent me this thing about paying on the first date, and that's actually going to be something in the disruptive mating course. Like, should women pay on the first date and this other stuff? Because the thing is, I have not dated seriously, and I'm going to break that down. I've not dated a woman seriously that has not paid for dates. Dates, not a date, not my birthday, not the special birthday blowjob. I've not dated that kind of woman. And part of it is there's an expectation, and I'll say it. It's like, oh, I expect you to pay for dates. And in our society, it's just like, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't be that way. And like, why? And when you ask that very quintessential question of why, there is no answer that's based in logic. None. Okay, so why should men pay for dates? Well, I mean, point blank, it's because she likes it. There's no rationale. I've heard all kinds of bullshit, and I've challenged women on this. And then you also hear that if you don't pay for dates, you're not going to date. You're not going to get any pussy. Wrong again. Wrong again. You have to understand that women appreciate a presentation of strength and power. And standing up to her on her bullshit is a good way to present that. Oh, that's funny. It's just crazy. Now let's get back to where I came up with the expression: don't hate the player, don't hate the game, learn the rules so you can win. I was out in the storage auction world, and I was still operating on the somewhat of a fairness doctrine that things should be fair, people should do the right thing. Even though I was in corporate America where that didn't happen either, I was still clinging to it, holding on to it. And I was out there, and there was this great unit, right? And the people who were going to lose the unit were there. And they were like, please don't bid on that unit. Please don't bid on that unit. Just really heart-wrenching. And this was before I hardened up. And I didn't bid on it, right? Well, come to find out, they had put someone in the crowd who was bidding on their unit for them. And since nobody bid, because, it wasn't that many people there, they got their unit for less than what they owed. Then go back next month, find out they only took out what they wanted, and the unit came up for auction again. And bought it, and it was pissed because the TVs was gone and all. I was just like, mother. They really were not good people. They were doing what they had to do for their thing, and it taught me a lesson. So I became that guy. Like, if you're there, I was like, the only way I'm not bidding on this unit is if I don't want it, because someone's going to bid on it, someone's going to benefit. And that's what I was just saying, walking around to myself, it's like, don't hate the player, don't hate the game, learn the rules you can win. And the rules are, there are no rules. That's the thing. That's the big thing is, in certain situations, there are no rules. In certain situations, the rules are unwritten and they're very, very strong. Like, take the legal arena with child support, custody, and everything. Many people will tell you, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't say that. And as someone who sat in, there's all kinds of dirty tricks that go on in that arena. And the thing is, if you're not playing those dirty tricks, or you are spending a shitload of money on a very aggressive attorney, chances are you're probably not going to win. Just depends upon state. Once again, let me just be clear. It depends upon how so many variables, and part of don't hate the player, don't hate the game, learn the rules so you can win. One of the rules is you may have to go there with somebody. You may have to do something that you feel is too much when really it's just right. And that's one of the things, because a lot of men catch hell because they're locked in these prisons of expectations of what they should do versus sitting back saying, you know what, what's good for me? What works for me? Social expectations are stronger than steel. You have many people who are doing certain things strictly on social expectations, nothing else. That's the only reason that they're doing it. No other reason at all. None. Now, let's talk about business. There's a lot of talk. Do you need to go ahead and incorporate to start your business? Depends. Do you need a bunch of money to start your business? It depends. Do you need to borrow a lot of money to start your business? It depends. See, this is the thing. There is no one answer to those questions depending upon the person, who you are, what you're working with, what you are building, what you have going on. There is no other there's no set answer. None at all. Zero, zilch. And one of the reasons that people lose is they feel that if they don't follow expectations that they will disappoint society. Now I got a question for you. How many people who play by the rules do we have monuments put up for? The monuments are up for the motherfuckers. The people who who define conventional thought. The rules are up for the people who said fuck society in a certain way. This is who we celebrate. We don't celebrate the reasonable people. We celebrate the unreasonable people, the people who said, no, I'm not going to say that cancer is a death sentence. I'm not going to say that HIV is a death sentence. No, you're not going to imprison my people. We celebrate those people. And when they start going against the grain, they get a lot of pushback. They get a great deal of conjecture. They get a lot of and when you start to look at that, when you understand what's going on with that, then you understand you understand that the way that you approach the world mentally is going to be a big part of if you're successful or not. It's going to be a huge part. It's going to be a very, very big part of your success. Now, with business, and this is something that I've doubled down on, that I've tripled down on, because if you notice, I don't do stories on this channel anymore. I may do stories somewhere else, but not here. That I'm 100% how to get money, how to make money, how to save money, how to protect money, how to build your money generating device. That's the content of this channel. And one of the rules that I was breaking was I was trying to be too many things to too many people. It looks good, got all of this stuff, but the thing is the message was muddled and lost. But ever since I have said, you know what, I can make this happen. I'm going to stick to business. I'm going to talk about what I know. I'm going to talk about what I've studied since high school, things that I've been part of, and it's just going in the right direction. But see, I was breaking some of those rules. I was breaking one of those rules of focus. There's a rule of focus. There's a rule of collection. There's a rule of gravity. And the thing is, there was 7 different topics I was talking about, so I can never build enough weight to crush it. But now there's this one topic, and it's crushing, and there'll be more content. But once again, those are the unwritten rules. I can't hate them. That's how it is. Once you start to understand that a lot of this stuff isn't personal, that a lot of it is just how it is, I shouldn't say how it is. It's how we as humans have made it. And to defy these rules is going to cause you heartache. Take making money online. There's so many ways to make money online that people are confused and just kind of lost. They're hoping to make money online the easy way. But to make money online, it's usually going to require a lot of hard work. There's a few cases where someone does something and it flows and everyone loves it and they make a lot of money. That happens. Could happen to you. It's happened to me. But that is not the norm. The norm is you're going to come online, you're going to try to make some money, and you're going to fail. And you're going to try again, and you're going to fail. And you're going to try again, and you're going to fail. And you're going to try again, and you're going to fail. And you're going to try again, and you're going to fail. Then one day, you're going to try, and it's going to catch. And you're like, uh-oh, this thing moving. It's moving. And then you start to make some money. And then you figure out some other stuff, and then you start to make some more money. And then you figure out some stuff, and you start to make some more money. At that point, you begin to build. But just something to think about today, because you have many people out there who are mad. And I've went ahead and I've not on the Facebook sabbatical again, but I've dialed back the activity because I was running an experiment to see what Facebook's algorithms would do. And if you have inflammatory topics on your personal page, and there are certain people that really chime in hard, Facebook's going to recommend that next inflammatory topic to those same people, and it's just going to be because if you chill out on your personal page or you just put all pleasant stuff up there, you will lose people. They will start recommending stuff because pleasant stuff often does not get the same push as negative stuff. I'm going to dial that back because it's about where you invest your energy. It's about where you put your efforts, your time into being more successful. And it gets to be really, really interesting. And it gets to be funny. Now, I will say this. Once you start to understand how to make money, once you understand how these rules work, once you understand how these things are starting to be, how things are starting to, well, let's step back. Once you understand that how you think is 90% of your life, it's 90% of your life. How you think is 90% of your life. It's not what happens to you, it's how you choose to deal with it. Because it's very easy to become fatigued by having to put forth copious effort over and over again. But the thing is, every time you extend your effort level, you move yourself higher up in the food chain because many people are not going to work that hard. They're just not. I mean, there's some people that if the wind blows too hard, they're getting ready to go outside and the wind's blowing. Ooh, nah, I'm not going to go for that walk today. Then you have other people that you can see a hurricane comes and they're like, I'm getting my run on before I have to evacuate. It's how you look at stuff. It's how you define stuff. It's how you think what's important. You look at what is really relevant to your success. Now, when you come to this level of understanding that mentally it's you. Mentally it's you. Because when you become comfortable with chaos, you will see a great deal of improvement in your life. Because many people are trying to be comfortable. I put up a video the other day. Comfort is the death of success. It really is. Because what people don't understand is you move out of your comfort zone, you expand the zone that you're comfortable in. It's better to have this huge zone of comfort versus the little small comfort zone. Because somebody thump you to zone, you're all messed up. You know, someone shake you up, you're all messed up because your comfort zone is too little. What do you want? A big comfort zone or a little comfort zone? If your comfort zone is big as a football field, it's not a lot that's going to shake you up in life. You'll be able to deal with stuff. Not to say bad things won't happen. It's just you'll be able to deal with them from a better position. But you get to be really an interesting person once you learn how to identify what's a false narrative and what's not. I'll go back to dating. I had dating like 2002. I started to do things differently. It was a journey. Because the thing is, many people think you should just meet someone and it should be automatic. You learn how to drive. You learn how to learn. You have a process and a format for going to college. You have a process and format for starting a business. You have a process and format for certain dinner events. Like you go to a formal event, the flatware is lined up a certain way. It's inside out or outside in. That's how you use your utensils. You work your way from the outside in, and that's how they set up. But there's a process. But many people think it was like dating. There shouldn't be. It should just be magic. It should just be magic. That's why many cultures have a tradition of hooking people up, because they know that folks don't make good decisions. But that's a whole other decision. That's a whole other conversation. But essentially, you can create your life that you want if you're open to developing it and understanding that things are processes. I know that the mythical, majestical people, the faith-based people, or the destiny people think that it's just destiny and the design. No, it's not. What you thought, what you did, created those events. It's your actions. It's your thought pattern. That stuff is starting to create the life that you either want or hate. You created that. Now, for those of you who want to get past that, what I'm going to say is 8 more days for you to get hustlerskungfu.com. You get everything on the platform, plus everything that's coming, plus discounts on the other platform, which is going to have a monster course that's going to start next month. Well, yeah, next month. Because I decided that everything else that I was going to do, I would wait until this was over, then I would jump off into that. So the link could be below the video, or on the video, or in one of the annotations. If you're on mobile, you will not see the annotations. If you're on mobile, click that little I to see what you need to get yourself into. So with that, I will see you good folks later.